In this segment, you will see students involved in a word sort that is open-ended enough to engage every learner. The goal is to help students develop vocabulary that describes the characteristics of people and animals they meet in their reading. The task also develops an understanding of how root words, prefixes, and suffixes work. This knowledge will help students read and write independently. They draw on their schema and prior experiences and build on the ideas of others as they collaborate to solve the problem at hand.
You are going to get a baggie that matches with your name card. Inside this baggie are words on little pieces of paper, just like we do every week. What do we usually do with the pieces of paper? We sort the words. I'm not going to tell you how to sort. You're going to have to figure it out. It might be similar to what we usually do. It might be a little bit different. That's for you to decide. Okay. You may also find blanks. Just leave the blanks aside for now. Okay. Okay. I want to see equal participation with everyone taking part. Any questions? Okay. All right. You know how to do this. So, Riley, take that, Riley's group, and tiptoe and find a tabletop, please. Thanuka's group can find a tabletop to work at. So this is a differentiated word work task based on inquiry. So the students have been given an open sort to do with words. They're looking to find opposites. It's differentiated in terms of vocabulary acquisition needs. So they're all working on opposites or antonyms of characteristics, but they're grouped based on need. And I will be circulating, and I will also sit with one group that I feel will need a little bit more support. And the needs are determined in a variety of ways. It's mostly based on my observations while I'm conferencing and working with students. We also have a high ELL population in our school, and so our students who are identified as ELL learners have increased needs, and they are all placed in one group as well so that I can better support their needs. Now this is a little bit tricky because sometimes we're used to sorting with word parts, right? I want you to think a little bit differently this time. Were you having a little bit of trouble with prefixes and suffixes and things that you usually sort with and word families? You might have to think of a different way. Would you like to give you a clue? Why don't you try the meanings of the words, which we do that sometimes.
I know.
What do you notice about those?
Like they both have R's in it.
They both have.
They're not the same one.
These are
Like
not,
the opposite?
these are the opposite. So show the group, and what do you think?
The opposite.
Do you think they might be the opposite? Opposite of the emotions? I think that's a great idea. Why don't you stick with that and see if that works for you?
Happy.
Okay. Can you maybe organize it in a way so that you know which ones you've used?
Up easily.
Let's see, JC, can you find one?
Give up easily and brave.
Oh, JC's making a column. That might be an idea, just to help you keep track. Sharon's found a match. When you think you've figured out the sort and you've checked in with me, you are going to add to each column using the blank cards. Okay? So just like we do in math, where your figure has to match with the attributes, the words that you're selecting on the cards need to match with your sort.
Like we had to do like one way, which is the positive way, and a negative way, and then we switched it by doing opposites. The positive way is respectful, responsible, honest, polite, caring, and agreeable. And the negative way is disrespectful, irresponsible, dishonest, rude, uncaring, and disagreeable.
We thought we looked at the ones that had the same word in it and then had a prefix in the beginning, and we figured out that this wasn't actually an opposite, but since there was no more, we had to put them together. The polite and rude were opposites, but we had to use them because there were no other words. We got these from our schema, and because this one has caring inside of it, so we looked at at it and said this is caring, so it must be the opposite of it.
We sorted the words by if it's positive or negative words, and by the meaning of each one. Some of us realized that it was opposite. Some of us picked up 2 words, and then we tried to see if they went together, but then realized they don't go together. So then we thought it could be positive and negative.
We read the word and then we saw it that it's unintelligent and intelligent. Intelligent is in both words, but in unintelligent, un is just added.
So your next step is you're going to create your own little mini anchor chart. And just like you talked to me, positive and negative, you're going to label it, or whatever you want to label the top, the attributes or the characteristics, and then you're going to glue and tape them on just like that. So we can refer to them when we're doing our writing and our reading. Okay? You can use tape or glue. When I met with this group, what I noticed was that they were discussing which prefixes to use in order to make the word the opposite. So I thought that was really great thinking, that they realized that a prefix could change the meaning of the word, but then they were discussing which one sounded better, and that's how they decided which prefix to use. They were discussing, should it be dis, should it be in, should it be un, which was a great transfer of what they'd been learning with prefixes and suffixes to a different context. We make every effort for our word work to be done in context. For example, during our inferring unit, when we were working on characteristics of characters and people, we did work around generating negative and positive character traits. This was done as a sort. Earlier in the year, when we were working on word parts and word-solving strategies, we did extensive work on prefixes and suffixes, and that becomes part of our word workstation. A low-prep word work activity such as this one can result in a rich learning task. This morning when students were sorting their words, the conversations led us into a lot of the learning that was going on. For example, students had to access prior knowledge to try and uncover what the sort was all about. They had to use their previous knowledge of prefixes and suffixes to create antonyms to certain words. They had to cross-check to ensure they had sorted the words appropriately. And students had to use their collaborative skills to come to agreement with their peers. After completing the sort, students were required to stretch their thinking by adding to their words: agreeable, disagreeable, attentive, inattentive. And after we were finished in the debrief, students had an opportunity to reflect on what they had learned and realize the transfer that was required of their previous knowledge to this task. The word work lesson this morning was structured in an intentional way, from the focus for the learning, which was the opposites and the characteristics, right down to the groupings. The colors of the groups denoted differentiated groups, for students who needed support with sort of simple vocabulary acquisition to students who needed quite an extension relating to their vocabulary. The intentionality transfers to everything we do in the classroom, from the whole class lessons related to our learning target, to the small groupings that we do based on need, right down into the individual conferences where we intentionally choose strengths and weaknesses reflected in the students' work.